In at number 10 on our list of haunting events, we find ourselves peering into the dark recesses of Attica Correctional Facility, a name that conjures images of turmoil, violence, and a cry for justice that ended in tragedy. In the year 1971, the inmates of Attica, driven to desperation by conditions most foul and inhumane, took control of the prison in a shocking act of rebellion. Overcrowding, racial tension, lack of medical care and basic human rights violations had festered like a wound, a festering sore that finally erupted into chaos. For 4 harrowing days, the prison was a battleground, a place where the lines between right and wrong, justice and revenge blurred into a nightmarish tapestry. The inmates, no longer content to suffer in silence, made their demands known. They sought better living conditions, fair treatment, and an end to the brutal regime that had held them captive. Ah, my dear riotous rebels, tonight we venture into the chaotic corridors of confinement where anger boils over and the system trembles. Join me as we recount the top 10 prison riots that shook the system. These tales are a riotous reminder of the horrors that lurk behind bars. Next, at number 9 in our grim exploration, we find ourselves drawn to the desolate landscape of the New Mexico State Penitentiary, a place that became a hellish stage for a riot so gruesome, so chilling, that its memory sends shivers down the spine of even the most hardened soul. In the cold hours of February 1980, discontent and anger, fueled by years of mistreatment, overcrowding and neglect, erupted into a frenzy of violence. The inmates, pushed beyond the brink of despair, seized control of the prison, unleashing a storm of destruction that would rage for a horrifying 36 hours. The riot became a dance of death, a ballet of brutality that spared neither the weak nor the strong. Fires raged, walls crumbled, and through the smoke and chaos, unspeakable acts were committed. The prison, once a symbol of order and control, descended into a nightmarish realm where the only law was violence and mercy was a forgotten word. In at number 8, our dark journey leads us to the foreboding walls of Strangeways Prison in Manchester, England. A place where, in April 1990, discontent and anger burst forth in a torrent of chaos, igniting a riot that would become the longest prison riot in British history. A marathon of mayhem that would captivate a nation and send ripples across the world. The spark was lit by long-standing grievances, by the suffocating despair that comes from overcrowding, inhumane conditions, and a system seemingly deaf to the cries of those it imprisoned. A powder keg waiting for a spark, and when it came, it was a blaze that could not be contained. For 25 torturous days, Strangeways Prison was a battleground, a lawless realm where the rule of order was replaced by the whims of the mob. The inmates, no longer content to suffer in silence, took control, laying siege to the very institution that sought to confine them. Next, at number 7 in our macabre exploration, we find ourselves peering into the grim corridors of the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility, where the shadows of the Lucasville Prison Riot linger like ghosts, forever etched in the fabric of those haunted walls. In April 1993, the air was thick with tension, a pressure cooker of fear, resentment and anger, waiting for the spark to ignite the inferno. That spark came, and when it did, it set off a deadly 11-day standoff, a horror that would leave no one untouched. The riot began with a cacophony of violence, a revolt against perceived injustices, grievances that had festered like hidden wounds. The inmates, fueled by desperation and driven to the brink, took control, holding guards hostage and turning the prison into a fortress of lawlessness. In at number 6 in our grim catalogue of terror, we descend into the heart of Sao Paulo, Brazil, to the forbidding walls of Carandiru Penitentiary. A place forever scarred by a dark moment in history, a horrifying glimpse into a world gone mad, where chaos reigned and compassion was lost. The date was October 2nd, 1992, and within those walls, tensions were reaching a boiling point. Overcrowding, inhumane conditions, and simmering resentments created a powder keg ready to explode. And explode it did, as a riot broke out, a storm of violence that soon spiraled out of control. But what began as a riot, a cry for attention, a plea for understanding, soon turned into something far more sinister, far more horrifying. As authorities sought to quell the chaos, their actions became a massacre, a bloodbath that would leave the world stunned and heartbroken. Next, at number 5 in our spine-tingling exploration, we find ourselves gazing into the depths of the Lee Correctional Institution, a place forever marked by a night of unimaginable violence, a macabre dance that transcended horror and entered the realm of nightmares. The night was April 15th, 2018, and within those walls, an undercurrent of unrest was swelling, a tidal wave of anger and despair that was about to break free. Tensions were mounting, rivalries were simmering, and the stage was set for a night that would be etched in blood and tears. As darkness fell, the riot erupted, a savage battle that knew no bounds, no mercy, no respite. Inmates turned on one another. Weapons were brandished, and chaos reigned as the guards struggled to regain control. In at number 4 in our nightmarish parade of prison tales, we find ourselves peering into the depths of the Topuchico prison in Monterrey, Mexico. A place where the walls whisper the horrors of a battle that shook the very foundation of the prison system, a dance of death that terrifies the mind and freezes the blood. The date was February 11th, 2016, and within those cold, unforgiving walls, rival factions were preparing to wage war, a battle that would be fought with a ferocity that defies reason, a savagery that transcends comprehension. As the clock struck midnight, the battle erupted, a clash of wills, a struggle for power, a fight for survival that knew no bounds. Weapons were wielded, fires were ignited, and the prison became a hellscape, a realm where the rules of humanity were suspended, where chaos reigned and mercy was a forgotten word. Next, at number 3 in our terrifying tour, we find ourselves drawn to the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. The year was 1973, a time of change, a time of uncertainty. But within the Oklahoma State Penitentiary, time stood still, trapped in a cycle of neglect, oppression, and inhumanity. The prisoners were restless, their grievances many, their voices unheard, their pleas ignored. A dangerous brew was simmering, and the lid was about to blow off. On July 27th, the riot erupted, a spontaneous combustion of rage that tore through the prison like a wildfire, consuming everything in its path, leaving no corner untouched, no soul unscarred. The guards were overwhelmed, the authorities helpless, as the inmates took control, demanding justice, demanding change, demanding to be heard. In at number 2 on our ghoulish gallery of prison terror, we cast our eyes to the dark heart of Guatemala, to the Pavel Prison, a name that will forever be etched in the annals of infamy, a place where the spectre of rebellion loomed large and the price of failure was paid in blood. The year was 2006, and within the cold, unfeeling walls of Pavel Prison, a battle was brewing, a struggle for power, a fight for control, a rebellion that would shake the very foundation of the prison system, a dance of death that would leave no one untouched, no one unscarred. The inmates had seized control, turning the prison into a fortress, a stronghold that defied authority, that challenged the system, that declared its independence. The government was alarmed, the people were frightened, the stakes were high, and the time had come to act. Finally, at number 1 on our frightful list of prison horrors, we plunge into the chilling waters of San Francisco Bay, to the rock, the fortress, the place of no return, Alcatraz. A prison that has become a legend, a symbol of the inescapable, the unbreakable, the unimaginable. But within those walls, a plan was hatched, a scheme was crafted, a dream was born, a dream of escape, a dream that would turn into a nightmare. The date was May 2nd, 1946, and 6 inmates, driven by desperation, fueled by hope, blinded by ambition, embarked on a daring escape attempt. A plan so audacious, so bold, so dangerous, that it would forever be etched in the annals of criminal history. A tale that would become known as the Battle of Alcatraz. The escape began with promise, with success, with triumph. But soon, the dream began to unravel, the plan began to crumble, the hope began to fade. The inmates were trapped, the prison was locked down, and the battle was joined. A 48-hour siege that would test the limits of human endurance, that would challenge the bounds of sanity, that would push the boundaries of terror. And there you have it, my dear riotous rebels, a glimpse into the world of prison riots that shook the system. Remember, these tales are real, and sometimes reality can be a real riot.